But, 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 babies! Hi. What's cooking, guys? How are we? I have a confession to make. Hear me out. Yesterday I didn't actually shoot a video, and I really felt like I was disappointing you guys. Nobody watches. But it did feel like, hey man, you only take Saturday off. Why the hell didn't you do it on Tuesday? What could have been so important? A lot of stuff was happening. But still, there's a certain why am I doing it? How am I doing it? Every single day, there's something towards coming at. Like the notes keep coming. Like I keep writing notes. I keep just building on notes. This is how many notes I have to actually Before I left the house today, I wrote 2 notes before I left the house. It just keep fucking coming, man. It's fucking beautiful, and I feel like and maybe I was disappointing myself. Yeah, I was letting myself down maybe. But hey, here we are today. It's fine, accepting and loving and all that good stuff. And this is a video that was fun for me to do because this is a video that happened after a conversation I had with myself. I was walking from work and I heard myself repeat something, or it's repetition because I noticed that I've been saying it in my head for a while. All I want, what I was saying, sorry, was all I want was $10 a day to figure things out and to actually be able to eat, have my coffee, and buy some food for my cats, and have a clean house. And then basically, as I was saying that, I was like, really, is that enough? And I remembered that's what I used to say 3 years ago. 3 years ago, when I started on this quest, before I had any sense of direction, I was perfectly fine with little money on me and just kind of managing. But then I was like, what about deploying your website? What about hosting it? What about paying for the database fees? And as I started thinking about it, my mind started kind of going, what the fuck? I have been doing this to myself for the past 2 years. Subconsciously, the voice in my head has been repeating that it's enough to be basically living below minimum wage, even though I'm perfectly capable of sustaining that lifestyle. But the core concept is the fact that I was okay with that less than mediocrity. I was perfectly in my head, sorry, in my subconscious, I was okay with it. And it hit me. That's something that's not cool at all. And then instantly I started asking myself questions. I was like, oh, really? What are you going to do about that? What are you going to do about that? What are you going to do about that? And suddenly, naturally, the same thing that was repeating, all I want is this, no longer repeats it. Now I asked myself the question, how much money would you want? And then ideally, I came with $300 a day that powers up to $9,000 a month. Remember, I have a startup that I'm thinking of. And then I was like, what would you do with 9,000? And there it went. What would I do with $9,000 a month? Well, I have to hire some people to work with me. I figured I need a strong back-end engineer, or at the very least, I need somebody that's going to be working with me so that when the time comes, we'll be able to kind of split the load. And I need a good front-end UI UX designer slash front-end designer. They kind of compile over each other. It's like the same guy who paints the houses is also an artist. I don't know which started first, but the capacity to kind of become more of these things because they can kind of complement each other. And then I was like, okay, so that costs $4,000. What are you going to do with the rest of the money? $9,000. That means you still have $5,000. And I started spreading my expenses, and I went to $1,500 a month between me, the cats, actually buying some furniture to the house, being able to eat out at least twice a week, do something like this, right? I don't know. It's just still feels very simple. It's but just the expenses I have to pay right now are about 500 plus, and I haven't started paying rent. Between the work, the internet, my phone, uh, without even food, man, I think I've reached 1,000. So, and then after that, I was like, okay, so what are you going to do with the rest of the money? And I was like, okay, so I still have some people that I probably would want to do stuff for. And those are basically, I started thinking more from a sponsorships perspective because I have a lot of people that very much inspired me to start doing what I'm trying to do what I'm doing right now, and inspired me to kind of build a certain platform that supports them. And I figured the best way to support them is to connect them to the people. So that's where the platforms idea started coming up. So as I was thinking about that, I was like, well, if anything, man, a portion of the money should actually go to the actual people that you're trying to do this for. And that'll be perfect for like them to actually start growing, to understand what helps them grow. And it's a research thing, right? Like if I had the money right now, what would I use it for? And then from there, it started kind of like building in my head. Like the actual expenses of the website are between $500 to $1,000 when it's actually fully deployed, right? But from now till then, when I have a functioning website, I kind of need a sales team or to promote or marketing and all that shit, right? But until then, how am I going to be constructing the website beyond what I know right now, if not from the feedback of the people that I'm doing it for? And so I wrote this note: 16.6% of money to community. How do I plan to do it? Why would it work as a as a I want to say as a business platform, as a business to the platform? Oh, so sorry, as a context, Bitcoin to the platform. So I reference Bitcoin because it's decentralized, and the beauty of Bitcoin is like everyone started creating their own nodes to support it in order to like make money out of it. And I was thinking more from if the people were actually to like kind of build on top of something, and the shared experience will start becoming the decentralization of value. And from there, I started thinking, okay, so at the very least, for me to own up to my word and for me to actually be the guy that does well with the platform, you kind of have to seclude a certain part of it. And my thoughts were about like $100, but then I split it in half because I split the day. $200 cost to the actual website, $50 to me, and to like the house and everything like this, and $50 that has to go to the community. And it could go to the community in many ways. It could go to like actual donations to communities, or at the very least, because like I'm building a platform with communities in it. So I figured like a portion of the profits of the platform, if they go to the community, then it kind of gives that feedback loop where more people would want to join because more people would have access to that funding. And ultimately, the people that are actually trying to build something, when they want some money, they actually have the platform that supports them. And they're using the platform to create credibility and all that good stuff. And it's the back and forth. And from there, the note came about. And it reminded me of the decentralized aspect of what I wanted to do and why I was like, why it matters for it to be decentralized. I really think like human beings, when it comes to leadership, man, it takes a whole lot it's a lot of responsibility. And the more things in front of you that you're in charge of, the more you find yourself distancing yourself from the smaller things at the bottom. But we really forget that it's the small things that fucking matter. It really is. It's all the small things that pile up. It's all the people that are just like doing the day-to-day work that pile up and become like the good people that make the platform. Like, even though they're not the first ones that jump on the platform, like any decent like company starts with a few people, and sometimes these people don't last. But like eventually, they're the reason why it grows, and the reason it's sustained are the people that are working at the bottom doing the mundane work. As we proceed into the future, AI will take a lot of this, and robots will take a lot of this. But until then, the value of human beings is literally their individual contributions. And sometimes these contributions are not very intellectual or emotional or just creative. But without them, we don't go anywhere. It is always, always, always the the bottom of the pyramid that holds the whole pyramid. And so I was thinking like something has to kind of like come back, come back, come back. And from there I kind of like settled on the amount of money that I would want daily. At least for now. And the goal was to change the fucking thought process, right? I wanted to change how my mind was thinking. I wanted to change how I was actually engaging with things. And I really, really just did not like the fact that I was holding on to a certain monologue that is over fucking 3 years old. Fuck. And that's coming from a guy that's consistently reflecting on the day. Even with that, a lot of the things that are happening with me, I still don't notice. That's a bit surreal. Like when I realized that, I was like, I didn't know which emotion to actually feel. I was thinking, should I be pissed off? Should I be okay? Should I be anxious? Should I be agitated? But then I just like stopped and I did what I do best. I started asking questions. And with that, I was able to kind of to just understand a bit more how I have to put my money where my mouth is, right? Like putting your money where your mouth is. How would it be translated in your daily activities? And how would you actually be able to kind of like fulfill the whole? It's really, it's just such a saying never was profound to me. I mean, it meant do what you have to do, but that's not really what it meant, did it? Was it? It meant like invest in the shit that you're talking about. Because ultimately, the same proof that you get that your shit is going to either work or not is by doing the shit you talk about, or at the very least, from my perspective, you think about. Because I talk about things and I'm approaching what I'm talking about, but my mind is still not in perfect synchrony with me. I don't know if there's ever perfect synchronicity, because the outside world changes faster than the inside world. And to be able to like harmoniously engage with that, I think that's where the Stoics kind of like started creating the whole like the Stoic philosophy was very much us monitoring ourselves and trying to understand how we could actually just do better when we don't realize we're not. That's the story, man. That's the video. How do I plan to do it? Fuck, man, I'm enjoying the fact that a lot more things are getting detailed. How am I going to do it?